the way this came about and the comments of the majority leader, that I can't really believe that he believes. It's just hard for me to believe that he thinks this is working. He is not a fool. But you know, I'm also have been listening to the debate, just like you and I talked about earlier, that we did on the floor leading up to the vote on Christmas Eve 2009. I've been listening to the debate last night and today by some of our colleagues. And I thought our colleague from Nebraska, Senator Johans, made a very profound statement. We're fortunate to serve in my opinion, the greatest legislative body in the world. You and I spent a number of years in the House, and that is a great institution also. They're both unusual from a constitutional and legislative standpoint. But you have certain rights in the United States Senate in the minority that you don't have in the House. And the American people know and understand what's happened here, and that is that the Democrats in the Senate 2 weeks ago broke the rules of the Senate to change the rules of the Senate. And they did so in a very arbitrary way, almost a mean-spirited way that basically ignored the arguments of the minority. And the minority in the Senate has always had rights up until this rule change a couple of weeks ago. And the senator from Nebraska said today that when we were debating on this floor during the late fall leading up to the vote in December of 2009, that because the Democrats had 60 votes, that they looked to the minority on our side of the aisle and they said, "We don't care what you say." His direct quote was, "Sit down and shut up." And he felt a very eerie feeling taking place 2 weeks ago during the debate on this floor, where the Democrats broke the rule to change the rule, and they looked on this side of the aisle and said, "We don't care what the parliamentarian says. We don't care what the rules of the Senate have been for decades and decades and decades. We're going to change those rules, and y'all can sit down and shut up." I thought what Senator Johans said was pretty significant, and he was right on track. I want to mention one other major concern that I have with this bill that I'm sure my friend from Mississippi has heard also, and that has to do with the safety of personal information relative to this new health care system. Obamacare opens the door to fraud and identity theft like we've never seen in a public program. When individuals visit the exchange and apply for health insurance coverage, they have to provide sensitive personal data, such as Social Security numbers, income, and tax return information. This information is then stored in a federal data service hub. The proper security safeguards for that federal data hub and other components of the website have not been put in place. Despite repeated warnings about this, the administration insisted on moving forward. If the rollout of healthcare.gov is an indication of what is to follow, then I agree with Americans who have serious reservations about the security of their personal information when applying for health insurance coverage through the exchanges. The presiding officer and I sit on the Intelligence Committee together, and we hear daily during our briefings about cyber attacks taking place against the federal government in the United States, against private entities in the United States, as well as against individuals inside the United States. I can only imagine, with all the problems that we've seen with the getting up and simply having this website of healthcare.gov running, that some 15-year-old sitting in his garage somewhere in America, or maybe sitting in Beijing or Tehran, looking to have some fun, could hack into the computer system and retrieve all the personal information of any individual that they wanted to, including their Social Security number.
Or more than have fun. Engage in real mischief and real harm to American citizens, Senator.
Yeah. You're exactly right, and obviously we know what that would lead to. Those hackers that are attacking America today are getting proprietary information as well as financial remuneration, unfortunately, in too many instances. And to open your book, open your personal information book to the federal government is something that rightfully, in my mind, has the American people upset, and is a provision in this health care plan that certainly is not popular, and is something, again, that, as Nancy Pelosi said, well, let's pass it, then we'll read it, and we'll figure it out. Well, here we go again. It's another provision in there that nobody knew anything about. We had no debate, as the senator from Mississippi referred to earlier, about another issue on the floor of this House, floor of the Senate, regarding having to provide personal information.